A Nightmarish Night by BleedingEquine, with 9 thumbs up, 3 thumbs down, 9 comments, and 182 referrals. The tags for the story are gore, dark, crossover, slice of life. Princess Luna goes into Button Mash's dream for a nightmare of a night. There she frightens them to death with Silent Hill-esque imagery. Contains light rhyming. The ponies that star in the story are Pinkie Pie, Princess Luna, and other characters. Dream a Dream, with 1,272 words. Shivering boils and shattering souls, the darkness of the night and the silence of ponies' holes. There slept a young colt, so young and cheerful, all in his underwear, his plethora of games everywhere. His name was Button Mash, a gamer galore. He played through all types of games and more. Suddenly a dark figure at the window. It was Princess Luna, pristine as the night sky. She looked at the young colt and smiled, horrid sharp teeth. She felt an orgasm of monstrosity. This one is ripe for picking. I shall have fun with him this night. Her form turned to darkness, leaving through the window opening. It circled and circled, inviting around the slumbering thing. And in her fumes sucked into his being the smell of brimstone, his nose clogged with smoke. His head shook, and his very self turned. Dreamland awaits for the young equine boy. For this night he is Luna's toy. Button Mash awoke, he gasped for fresh air. He felt strange, much taller than before. He looked at his large hooves, his body so grown. Something is wrong, he knew it so. He looked towards the window, nothing but a fog, unseeable. There was nowhere but white. He got out of the bed, called for his mother. His voice frightened him, much deeper than before. He looked around, his room just as last night. He trotted out of the room and searched throughout the home. There was no pony left in sight. He questioned what was going on. He didn't understand. He decided to go outside and see what was the problem. The door creaked open like a silent shriek. He never noticed how old this door must have been. What he was face to face. A fog so thick. It would truly drive him sick. He closed the door behind him and walked through the street. This all seemed so familiar. He continued down the road, running to get to Central Ponyville. A sudden scream. It was unnatural and mean. He looked to his right, near a hole in the ground, near a home. He peered deep in, frothing liquid at the bottom, yellow in color. Something hanged from a piece of metal sticking out from the side of the large hole. It seemed to be a walkie-talkie of some type. He stretched his arm, he grabbed it for sure. He pressed on the button, and static came upon him. Then, out of the liquid that he saw, a black maw and a claw, a spider-like thing, it emerged and hectically climbed up. He fell on his back with item and hoof, still trapped to the metal. It pulled on the metal piece. When the creature resurfaced with ravenous teeth, the metal flew from the force of the pull and slammed into the eye of the menacing fool. With it spiraling back to whence it came, Button Mash ran as fast as he could, running for many minutes, never stopping in his run. He paused from exhaustion with his talkie on neck. He found near Sugar Cube Corner was here. He trotted up to the steps and smelled the sugary stench of baking. Pinkie Pie's alive. Button Mash tried his best to open the door. It would not budge, no matter how much he turned. The smell of fire and the burnt. He used all his might, broke through with a charge. To find the darkness of Sugar Cube Corner was strong. He could only see a light in the middle. It seemed to be a flashlight, easily attachable to the cord on his talkie. He grasped its contents and looked around. There was no burning or screaming sound, just the fog behind them and the dim darkness. He ventured deeper where his light could see. Inside was where the ingredients were kept. No pony in sight, just bags and boxes left. He turned to open the door. It would not open. It seemed totally broken. Then the area around him started to change. The walls turned rusty. The containers became fleshy. He could only watch, horrified at this hellish abnormality, until everything became odd and hazy. The door behind him was stuck into a wall. No discernible doorknob, no vantage point at all. He went on his way. Suddenly, light lit from above, each light making a hard sound before lighting more of the long hallway. He ran through with an expression of terror. It felt like this nightmare would last forever. He continued to the end, a door, rusty, that won't blend. He pushed the metal bar forward, finding a room of sorts. It had a wheel made of flesh, its joints made of sinew. He heard a murmur. To his right was Pinkie Pie, cradled in flesh and looking like she was about to die. Her hair was heavy as stone, straight down to the ground, her hooves wrapped around flesh, standing motionless on her wrists. It seemed that Button Mash had to spin the wheel, each symbol of ponies being dealt horrible things. On each side of the wheel he could tell that whatever he rolled is what Pinkie would get as well. There was a pony being hanged, a pony being ripped in half, a pony getting her skin tore off. Only one was different. In 4 bold letters it said, "Free." He looked upon the wheel. Her fate could be sealed. He had to pinpoint it. He had to make sure. The right strength for the job so she won't get hurt. He tested the power in his arms. He tested them as much as he could. Then, with one push, the wheel spun. It continued on and on. Button watched it spin and spin. His fear grew that he would not win. Then it slowed, the hooves shaking with ease. It landed almost on Free. It was about to hit it. Then it went a bit further. Death by murder. Pinkie Pie dropped to the ground unconscious and tired. Unlike Button Mash, who was wired. He picked her up and heard a crunch. She woke up dizzy. He turned to see a monstrous being pulling itself out of the wheel. Button Mash charged with Pinkie Pie, running with. No time for words, no time for anything. His arm was clenched on the unconscious mare. The two of them running now as a pair, through the door, through the place, each light dimming from the monster's chase. They continued their way. The monster's long arms climbed through, until the door that disappeared that became a part of the wall. There was nowhere to go, no pony to survive. They held each other close as they watched the monster come fast. It was surely their last. The monster raised its arms, about to cleave them in half, the two scared victims shivering in seconds. Then a silence. Something felt weird. They opened their eyes to find Princess Luna staring at them. She looked at the two scared, so full of fear. Then she gave a single wink. Button Mash awoke, sweating profusely for what he endured, breathing deeply and sweating all over. He looked outside. There was no fog in sight. Something told the young colt what had happened. It was all Princess Luna. She had done this. He smiled at the realization. Who would have known what victim she gets, but most importantly, what her thought traces are like? He sighed from the dream and voted to play games for the rest of the night. No more nightmares at this time.